Welcome back to Factorio Masterclass. My name is Nilaus, and we are back here with the second installment of our Masterclass series. Thank you very much for your glorious support on the first one, and really inspired me to get this series off the ground and start working on awesome designs for Space Age. So in the first episode, what we did was we were looking at some initial designs. That's not it. This is it. Some additional designs for the new city block. So if you haven't watched the first episode, then do check that out, because that's kind of the foundation for everything moving forward. So what I thought that I would do in this episode was sort of take it the next step, saying, hey, we now have the principle of how to do this. So what do we want to do? Well, we want to make a base that uses these city blocks in a meaningful way. And the way I want to do this is by sort of pre-designing something and then make cool designs for each of the new and improved smaller squares. The purpose of this base will be to make a base that gets us to space as fast as possible, but still is a functional base that has some structure and then can continue to work and build stuff for us. So we don't want to sort of rush it and just have a speedrunner's base and get to space, but we really only want to get to blue signs, get to space, get to Volcanus, set up our main base on Volcanus, because it's such a much better planet. So that's going to be the objective. If you find that interesting, be sure to hit the like button. Let me know in the comment section below if you find mistakes, questions, good ideas for upcoming episodes, and the like. Let's start by organizing this into some kind of template of what I'd like to have in each section here. So this is an idea of what I've come up with for at least the beginning of it. And what we see here is we have a main boss in the middle. And if you are unfamiliar with the concept of the main boss, I have an older video, but it's still like perfectly correct about all the how to structure your base with a main boss, I think it is, or something like that. And I would recommend checking that out if you're unfamiliar with the main boss concept, because that's going to be what we are going to be using here. Now, each of these blocks are smaller than usual. So if you are a bit familiar with my old city blocks, then they would be like here. So basically this base is the same as the previous one, except it's much smaller because it's now only 1/4 of the size each of the blocks here. So we'll have the main boss running up the middle, and we'll have something constructed on the sides. What we want to do is we want to start constructing the stuff here on the side. And we're going to be using the design that we had from a previous episode, like for example this one. We can use this, but we are also going to improve it, because I don't actually like this. So what I don't like about it is that it's not as good as it could be, because it has a lot of dead space. And I think we want to really avoid dead space in this series or in this base. So what we can do is we're going to be building it bigger than it was before. What you're seeing now is me being in creative mode, so that's why I can just copy paste things and they get instantly built. This is much easier when we do a tutorial like this. That's something missing. Okay, let's see. I think it's this for this segment here that has to be copied. That. So you can see now that we can. How big can we make it? Well, this is going to be the full size. This is 48, and that's exactly how much you want. But you can also see that it now interrupts with our city block design, and we do not like that. So I'd like to do it this way. Now I need to go out of map mode. Here. So this is the basic smelting design that we are going to use. This is the one that has been developed many years ago and is kind of a staple in Factorio community. I think there are probably other alternatives, but this one just really, I don't know. I think it's the best one. Right, so this gives us just about what we need. If we see it is now working at 40 instead of 48. So it'll be less than a full yellow belt for each column. Does it matter? No, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. That's the interesting thing, is how it really doesn't matter. So what we also need to do is, if we scroll out here, I want this to be both iron and steel. So I'm actually going to change the lower ones here to steel. Now this is something we already have in one of our previous bases. So I'm going to be just doing this a little bit sort of easily, I guess. Yeah, there's a little bit of, okay. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to take the coal here and branch it in, because what I need to do is basically what we get out here is we get this the iron coming out, and then it goes in, combines with the coal coming from here, and then I need to reverse all of this. So now on the outside here is where I get the steel out there, and then steel will come out here. Then I just need to remove this part. And we also need to get some power. We are using, since we're in a creative mode, we're using these kind of things here. This is like an infinite radar coverage, or more or less. And we can also do a power station like this, which will give us infinite power for what we need. So let me redesign this one. So this is the new design. It looks good, it works, it's awesome, and it fits within the confines of the space. What we're doing is I am sending in here with this magical thing. We're using the editor extended to create these kind of infinite things, and it's kind of handy. And one of the other things that it can do is that it can actually just feed in some materials so that we can get the whole thing going and just kind of see that it is working. So basically this is where we get materials in. We'll come back to that later on, but we want to get it in here and see that we get 2 almost full lanes of iron, 2 lanes of steel, of course very partial, and down here and down here. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side for copper, which is going to be pretty simple because it's basically just this part here, and which I will then take and flip, not rotate, but flip. There, I think, oops. It has to be 1 in so that it's correct with that. Yes. So 1 in from the side. That's going to be the design in this space. Here, and these corners as well. What is also important for me, which I missed in the previous masterclass series, was that we need to make sure that the electrical grid is also correct. Because by the time when I made the electrical grid, there was no way of saving the wire configuration. Was not part of the blueprint, but it is now. So this is also important, and that means we're going to do copper, and we're going to do another copper down here, and then we're going to do stone bricks and concrete, because I actually figure that concrete is going to be used a lot more than usual. So I want to make sure that this gets in. Also, if we get 4 lanes in, we can get 2 lanes, 2 baby lanes like, see, 2 baby lanes like this one, because stone bricks is a little worse, or that one. Oh, I need to go here. That one. So it'll be 2 lanes. Then I'm going to get another lane of stone in here, which will go for landfill, and then another stone lane in here, which will go on the bus. What we then want to do with this part, well, let's actually hook this up so that we can see that the copper and iron is also working, or copper and stone bricks are also working. So now we build the copper and the stone bricks as well. But remember, this is not how you're going to be starting. What I want you to think about is sort of the first thing you want to build is 1 smelting column and then another smelting column. And then you get the iron going. And that will be fed into, you can see here, this area here, which would be the hub, which is going to be a separate episode because it's both going to be very simple and very complicated. Mostly very complicated. So that's definitely a second episode. But the idea here is that you build the first smelting column and then lead it right here, right up there in here, and then you start making some assemblers, such as like the first kind of assemblers you want would be like maybe some belts here, for example, right? So you lead those in here, and therefore this is going to be really cheap in the beginning because you still build this and you can build the copper afterwards. And then as you expand it, you add steel to this one. And then as you expand it, you start expanding down here and add more as well. I have put the stone down here because it's the least important. So maybe you don't want to build it that far away in the beginning. But I don't think it's that big of a deal that if you want to bring it in. Maybe from biter defenses, you don't want to build it that far away. But I'm skipping the jumpstart base in this iteration because what I'm going to build in here in a future episode will be more of a jumpstart base in and of itself. But this is basically getting out here. What it also does is that when we scale it up, you can upgrade it. This is now yellow belts and stone furnaces. But if we just happen to just upgrade the whole damn thing like that, then we can get it all to have steel furnaces, and then it comes out as red belts, which is kind of what we want to sort of have in the future. I'll be delivering sort of the starter build here in yellow, and also having it in red, but the red will be the majority of what you want. So now what we want to do is we want to put it on a bus. We have already sort of designed our way for how to make the bus, and we're going to be bringing all these lines onto a bus to be happy with. Now we've established the bus build. Look at this. This is now brought in here. There are 8 lanes of copper and 6 lanes of iron, 1 lane of steel. Not quite 1 lane of steel, but you never have enough steel. The reason why I'm over prioritizing copper compared to iron on this build is because when we get to the later game, when we start launching out into space, we're going to need a lot of copper for both for low density structure, which is used for basically all of the space platform components, and we also need it for the space platform itself, which needs a lot of wire. So we do need a lot more copper than we usually do. This is why I put this ratio in. Down here, we can then say, okay, what is it we want to do now? We also want to use the rest of this coal for something else. Well, one of the things that we want to use it for is to make like a very basic thing here in the beginning. That is, let's just make a let's see, there and there and there, and we're gonna make a landfill build because landfill is super expensive and you kind of need a little bit of it. So let's just make landfill build here. There we go, landfill. And what we also want to use the stone for is we've built this, but I wanted to use it for 2 things. I wanted also to be used for concrete because I do think that concrete is a lot more important now than it previously was. So and also I think that I needed better construction of it, because one of the things that I was previously been struggling with was that concrete just didn't really fit inside the hub. So I'm kind of taking now the decision to make it out of the hub and use some of this idle space we have in this location to make it. Yep. And we're going to make it design down here. This is going to be a simple design, I hope. And let's see. We'll use these because we're kind of pretending to be early game still. You can always replace them if you want to. So basically, you are going to get some concrete inbound, and I think I need the whole thing to turn just 1 down here, because I'm going to get this outbound, and that will go here. And that will also be the outbound on that side, and that will be concrete coming out. What are we going to get in this one? We are simply going to get something from over here. And let's see. That and that. We are going to get some of this concrete. Oh, still not concrete. Iron ore there. And we simply do it like this, and then we get iron ore in. Yes, it'll only be the overflow, but most of the time this will probably be empty, hopefully. And therefore we can get it in here. And then we just build our pipes. I'm going to build it a very simple build here. There. Because that should allow us to get both of these in. Oh, these are going to be the outbounds, and this is going to be the outbound. Let's actually make sure that it gets connected. And then we are going to get inbound and inbound and inbound and inbound, and then do the same thing here. There we go. That should be working. And then we just also need lights, because of course we need lights. We'll put that in here. And then we basically have a pretty good design for this, which we can replicate down here. And then suddenly we have concrete. Well, if we get the water in, we'll get water in from the bus, and we are going to get it here. So we'll also get that up here. And here we have now the concrete build, which will also just be feeding in, and that will be used for a few things, such as for nuclear power or nuclear power plants, for centrifuges, for cargo bays, and also for sort of upgrading the pathing here. So maybe later on we'll upgrade it. So that's one of the things. And one of the next things we want to do as well is to sort of show how we do a branch off of this bus. And the most natural thing is looking at the green circuit, because the green circuit is kind of the first thing you want to do. The green circuit is, if you are at all familiar with Factorio, the first thing you are going to be familiar with is the ratio for this one. Here we're going to build it from scratch, and we're going to be building this one there. And as we can just look at this, we can see, okay, it's going to be a hard, oh no, don't do that. There's going to be a hard limit of how many we can actually make in a city block. So that's going to be our baseline here. I actually think this, oops. This should be just fit a little bit over there. So we're going to be build it as a design module like this. And that'll be the 2 outbounds. Let's build it in the middle. This is something we have done before. There. Okay. So that will be the green circuits outbound. We are going to be outbound, making it outbound here. And just to make sure that it actually gets out in both locations, I'm putting it into a splitter. Then we're going to get stuff inbound here. These two. Not that one. And we're going to be using these as our power poles here. And we're also going to do that down here. And that means copper is now coming in on this belt. And it'll go in, and in. And these will also go here. And that's the copper inbound. So all we need now is the iron inbound. And I want to get the iron inbound here. Easier said than done. But if I do like this, then I can just get the iron in here and here. And then we see that there's a little bit of a disadvantage. And we're also going to get lights, 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 and lights. And yeah. Nope, not like that. That one. And here and here. Right, so that actually makes sense. I am going to also make a power pole here. It seems like I'm kind of overdoing the power poles a little bit. Yeah. Feels like it. I don't need the middle ones then. There we go. That should be okay. There. And then the lights go here instead. Now, does that seem like a replicated build? That certainly don't fit with power lines. That's important. That one should not go here. That could go here. So that we look at it and we look at it here. And that looks like a hexagonal pattern. That's great. And this is now a repeatable pattern if we want to. Repeat it like this. Good. So now we build it as big as we can. We get it as close, and as close. Trim the edges here, and trim that one. And that will be, well, this doesn't need to be. And that fits pretty damn well with exactly what we have of space. And if we put another one, then we have. How much does this generate? This generates exactly 60 per second, which is just so happens to be 2 full belts. Cool, so all we need to do is branch it inbound and then get 2 more lanes outbound. Now we've hooked up the green to the bus and you can see how well it works. I have decided to do dedicated lanes into the green circuits because green circuits is one of the things that will always be working the base, and if it's not working then must be because the base is not really working, because green circuits are going to be always in short supply. So I'm taking dedicated lanes. If we look at the numbers here, this one is not full lanes, but it is generating 200 per second, and then 200 per second will actually give us up here. Oh, by the way, if you are not unfamiliar, this is a mod that is called Rate Calculator. I use it to calculate the rates of things that are built, so it's something that's super handy tool for, especially for designs such as this. Right, this one is consuming 90. So if we think about this producing 200, then if I just take basically half of it and always consume it, that means I get 90 consumed here. And then over on the side, I'll get 110. This is a maximum capacity of 120. So if I fill 120 or 10 in here, it's going to be pretty much full lanes. Perfect. It also consumes 60 iron per second, and that will be exactly the 2 lanes here, which leaves 4 lanes for science and the hub. Those are the things that are mainly important. And then we produce the 60 green circuits per second, which is all we have available in this space. It's not much, but it is what we have to do to get off this planet. And I think that's going to be sufficient. Most of it will actually go into blue circuits. Now, that is the branching. What we want to do, if we look at the map view, you can say, I want to make some science builds. We need to make oil, red circuits, but most importantly, we also need to make the hub. That's going to be a very complex thing, so that goes into a separate episode. That is actually a remarkably nice power grid here. Good to have this overlay up so you can see that if the power grid is nice. Right, what we want to do is we want to say, what about all of this? If we want to support all of this, we actually need 225 iron ore per second inbound, which is a little bit more than you can expect to get from your starter base. So you're going to bring it in by trains, and then we say, how would integrate trains into this? And let me show you, because we already have trains here. Now this one is pretty good, but it's not perfect. There has two things that I want to change. This is something I made for the first episode, but we're going to be improving it now. The first thing is, if I have the train station here, that means that it comes in on this line or this line, right-hand drive always, and then it can fit one, and then it's going to be sort of hanging into the main line, which is no good. So if I take this and kind of put it down here instead, then I can have a train here, a train up there, and a train back there. Cool. The second thing is, this is actually getting too close. So if I could take this part out and just go like 1, 2 inbound, that would be so much better. This is still within the area. This is not big enough, but I can just kill that. So there's room for one train, there's room for a train in the corner, and there's room for a train in here, which has signals before going out. Great. So that is that's going to be an inbound station. That means we also need to get some lights. They are going to be, well, put them here. So we need to make the design for how to unload this station here. And we are really constrained in the beginning. So we're going to make like a very simple build. And we're constrained because we only have blue inserters, and blue inserters are, well, not great. So we're going to be constrained a little bit with what we have. But we're going to try to make something that will get as a high throughput outbound, despite not having the bulk inserters yet. So I'm going to do this one. This is a pretty good unload for what we want. There, pretty good unload. Unfortunately, I need to do that and that and that and this one. We'll do that and that and that. Good. So this is an unloader. Then we are going to be taking you. Actually, what I want to do is I want to take this design and then, kind of superimpose it on top of it like that. It's really that simple, to be honest. These go out and go in. Like that. And then these are going to be built here. There we go. And then I just need the usual power stuff to get inbound here. And we're going to get that sort of linked over to the corner. There we go. Right. So that's actually going to be how we want to do stations, and we can then replicate that for all of them. We also have like a special wagon here that we can use in case we want to actually set it up. So instead of getting them from magical underground or magical loaders, then we get them from magical train stations here. There we go, and we just do that. So we can sort of see how it would work with the train coming in. Let's add that for all the other ones so we can see how that would work. Just like that, we have now built a really, really neat starter base. Now, obviously, this is not starter because we're full of red belts, and we also have this. But I need to show you that you can start by making a simple yellow belt stone furnace column here, put it out here on the bus, add more, upgrade to red belts, upgrade to trains, and then it still works with the same design without redoing it. This is kind of what I do with my designs, is that I want to sort of design them in a way that you can upgrade them and they can still work as in different phases of the game. So this is going to be it for the episode today. I'm going to, of course, provide the blueprints to patron supporters. And if you're not a patron supporter, then you can see that we built everything here on camera. So it's easy for you to rebuild it yourself. But the convenience of for the patrons is that you can download the blueprint book and then just stamp it down in your base if you want to. So thank you very much, everyone, for supporting the channel on Patreon. I really appreciate it. And I'll be continuing with the design work in future episodes as we are looking at this. And then I'll be going into the hub, which will be pretty advanced and pretty cool. We'll do the science here, really cool compact builds. We'll do oil, which is going to be nice and awesome as well. And then continue with red belts and then whatever welds we need in order to get to the science. Once we sort of have the starter base, then of course the masterclass will transition into looking at space stuff and expansion to volcanoes, like how to expand to a different planet, which sequence. I've already highlighted that I'm going to go to volcanoes first because it's the best planet. Also, it has cliff explosives, so we can get rid of these annoying things. But that's the plan. So we got now our smelting sorted, and also including the rail inbounds if we feel so inclined. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have, be sure to hit the like button, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Until then, take care and stay effective.